no, no increased intimacy, felt themselves unable to support Srila Prabhupada in their desire, since they thought his fragile body could not survive such rough treatment on the roads. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. But that was the final, this parikrama planning. Want to willing to do by Srila Prabhupada. That before that, lot of point we discussed. Some key points. If the thing is some comparison of Srila Prabhupada with Bhishmadeva. At one page, the narration was there, and another some Patita Pavana. Because Prabhupada humbly requested, please forgive my this what you call whatever the things I have done like that. Humbly tells to some people, but people told this Puri Maharaja told you are Patita Pavana, so you are. You have done the lot of people fallen from certain things. So once they made a confident that once you start breaching, automatically all the opulence and other things will follow you. That way, some confidence they have given to him, Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada's soul is very much important to the devotee. And some comparison made Iswara Puri and Madhava Puri, and how the Iswara Puri done his loving, what do you call this Guru Madhava Puri, and for that, how the Madhava Puri made Iswara Puri as a Guru for Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya. So, like that, this narration, comparison, and other things happened, and we have seen already. And apart from that, even death is inevitable, but all the people are willing to uh, stay in this world, material world, to the Srila Prabhupada, and some description done for these phones compared to the material world, and whatever the phone this Hiranyakashipu lived in phones after doing some lot of this what they call uh, तवा तब तब वो तबा करने से वो bone से a lot of rishis are stayed with the bones, and these are the comparison we have made, and some his disciple Kirtananda, how he cared about Srila Prabhupada, how he wants Srila Prabhupada to stay in this world that way, and Srila Prabhupada's activities comparison also we made. Even he stayed in this world also. He is aloof and transcendental. So he want to make a devotee. Uh, Always the pure devotee is a liberated soul, and they go back to Godhead, and they will not affect by karma. The past karma and the future karma, the not affected, and that way we discussed. And how the Srila Prabhupada made people and loved, because initially when he was chanting Hare Krishna in the New York City, he was attracted by less men and women. But now the thing was extra the changed because worldwide this Hare Krishna movement glorified, raised, and most people come to follow because of this simplicity and chanting the mantras and whatever the beneficial and whatever the four regulatory principles that also attracted by more men and women and come and join the Hare Krishna movement. And other people like Bhavananda, Damala Krishna, Bhakti Charu, Vedra, other servant also carried the Prabhupada for what you called uh, by carrying the diets and by body constantly. And then in this way we discussed, and finally this Loganatha Swami come into the picture. That way the narration came because he is arranged some preaching activity by arranging some people and going to the some places and by using bullock cart and Srila Prabhupada is willing to make parikrama by using the bullock cart in that way we have seen yesterday. So we want to see further what the things done by Srila Prabhupada and how he attained Samadhi because Samadhi place chosen and this in front of Balarama, Krishna Balarama Mandir, the Samadhi place chosen and that was kept ready for Srila Prabhupada. And now I can share and those who are willing to take reading, then you can start reading by one. Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Those who are willing to read, please tell the names. Ali Mataji, are you able to read now?
Yes, Guruji.
Please start reading. You read from the 364. All right.
All right. Okay. All right, said Srila Prabhupada, softly, immediately agreeing to their proposal that he not go. Jaya, Jaya Srila Prabhupada said, Bhakti Jaru, who was also present, thank you, Srila Prabhupada, said, Bhavananda, great relief. All right. You are satisfied? Now I am Srila Prabhupada, said Bhavananda. Yes, I was in too much anxiety. Never mind, I shall not put you in anxiety. Actually, Srila Prabhupada said, Tamala Krishna, we are so much attached to you that you practically drive us to madness sometimes. Tonight we were becoming mad. No, no, I shall not do that, said Prabhupada. Babaji Maharaja, Prabhupada turned to Skinkana Krishnadasa Babaji and said, just see how much affection they have for me. Srila Prabhupada said, Tamala Krishna, the way you deal with us simply deepens our attachment every moment. It is my duty, said Prabhupada, and the devotees laughed warmly, understanding. Yes, they could understand that was his duty. By all his actions and dealings, Prabhupada's intention was to capture spirit souls and deliver them to Krishna. His method was loving service, but he did not do it for himself. He was delivering them to Krishna. That was his duty. On November 14, 1977, at 7:30 p.m., in his room at the Krishna Balram Mandir in Vrindavana, Srila Prabhupada gave his final instruction by leaving this mortal world and going back to Godhead. His departure was exemplary because his whole life was exemplary. His departure marked the completion of a lifetime of pure devotional service to Krishna. A few days before the end, Srila Prabhupada had said he was instructing as far as he could, and his secretary had added, you are the inspiration. Yes, Srila Prabhupada had replied, that I shall do until the last breathing. Prabhupada's last breathing was glorious not because of any last made mystical demonstration, but because Srila Prabhupada remained in perfect Krishna consciousness. Like grandfather Bhishma Deva, he remained completely collected and noble and grave, teaching until the end. He was preaching that life comes from life, not from matter. And he was showing that one should preach with every breath he has. That the many devotees who crowded the large room bore witness that up to the very end, Prabhupada remained exactly the same. There was nothing suddenly incongruous with what he had previously shown and taught them. At the time of his departure, therefore, he was teaching how to die by always depending on Krishna. Prabhupada's passing away was peaceful. During the evening of November 14, the Kaviraja asked him, "Is there anything you want?" And Prabhupada replied faintly, "Kuch icha nahi. I have no desire." His His passing away was in the perfect situation in Vrindavana with the devotees. A few months previously, a young girl, the daughter of one of the Prabhupada's disciples, had passed away in Vrindavana, and when Srila Prabhupada had been asked if she went back to Godhead to personally associate with Krishna, he had said, "Yes, anyone who leaves his body in Vrindavana is liberated." Of
Hare
course,
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pushpa Mataji, could you able to read?
Yes, Hare Krishna Mata, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Tandavat Pranam, please.
Of course, Vrindavana also means the state of pure Krishna consciousness. As Advaita Acharya has said to Lord Chaitanya, whenever you are in Vrindavan, and this was also true of Srila Prabhupada. He had Srila Prabhupada passed away in London, New York, or Moscow. Therefore, his destination would have been the same. And Lord Krishna stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one who is always thinking of me, surely he attains to me. Because Vrindavan Dham is the quintessential realm of Krishna consciousness within the universe, the ideal place for departure from this world. So it was yet another exemplary feature of Srila Prabhupada's life that he went back to Godhead with Vrindavana at his last junction. Those Vaishnava who had taken the vow never to leave Vrindavana could see that the sacrificing everything, including the benefit of residing in Vrindavana, to deliver the fallen souls in the most God-forsaken location of the world, had returned to the holy land of Vrindavana, and from there had departed for the original abode of Lord Krishna in the spiritual sky. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, anyone who executes service in Vrindavan certainly goes back to home, back to Godhead after giving up his body. Srila Prabhupada's departure was also perfect because he was chanting and hearing the holy name of God. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present at Srila Prabhupada's passing, just as he was at the celebrated passing away of Bhishma Dev, who said, despite his body, his being equally kind to everyone, he has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. Hare Krishna Prabhu, should I continue?
Yes, Mataji.
And Lord Krishna came before Bhishma Dev, assuring him and everyone else that Bhishma was returning back to Godhead on leaving his body. So the Lord, in his incarnation of Nam Avatar, the Hare Krishna mantra, was present for Srila Prabhupada's departure. Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Yagambar Prabhuji, could you able to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada's life and had been dedicated to spreading the holy name to every town and village. And for a month, he had been surrounding himself with the holy name. For his passing away, he especially wanted to fill the room with devotees chanting Hare Krishna. And Krishna fulfilled that wish. Srila Prabhupada therefore departed under the most favorable circumstances possible in the most sacred place Vrindavana, surrounded by Vaishnavas, chanting the holy name. An ideal spiritual teacher, Acharya, always acts in such a way that others may follow his example. As Srimad Bhagavatam states, these great souls who cross over the ocean of birth and death by taking shelter of of the boat of the lotus feet of Krishna, miraculously leave the boat on this side for others to use. And Srila Prabhupada's disappearance by its perfect example affords all conditioned souls the means for meeting the greatest of all dangers. An auspicious death is not merely a matter of psychological adjustment, so that one may die without regret or without becoming unduly upset. The real point is that at the time of death, the soul must leave the body and take the next birth. Only the Krishna conscious soul can leave this world of birth and death and attain an eternal peaceful life in the spiritual world. Therefore, one's life is tested at death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. And Hare Krishna. Death means the soul cannot stand to live in the body anymore. Whatever the material cause may be, the situation has become unbearable for the soul. And leaving the body causes great distress. The Shastras, therefore, advise us to get free from the cycle of repeated birth and death. Meeting an auspicious death and being dragged down to a lower birth is the most fearful thing for the living being. So, fearful is it what we may try to ignore death altogether. Death is painful because the eternal spirit soul is placed in a most unnatural situation, although he is eternal and should not have to die. He is forced to die because of his connection with the material body at death. The eternal soul is forced to leave the body for a destination he knows not. Thus, he is full of fear and suffering. The pain and fear is usually overwhelming. And one thing only of material attachments are bodily pain. Therefore, King Kulasegara prayed and Prabhupada often quoted, "Please let me pass away, not in some prolonged contemplation of my bodily death, but just while I am chanting Hare Krishna. If I can meditate on you and then pass from the body, that will be perfection." Over the last month of his life in this world, Srila Prabhupada taught how it is possible to meet death step by step in Krishna consciousness. In his last days, he told one of his sannyasis, "Don't think this is not going to happen to you." Prabhupada came into this world on Krishna's request to teach us how to live a pure life of Krishna consciousness, and that includes how to finally pass away from this world to attain eternal life. Prabhupada underwent death in a way that was perfect and glorious, and at the same time in a way which we can all follow. When we have to go, we can cling to the memory of how great soul left this body, always thinking of Krishna, surrounding himself with the medicine of chanting Hare Krishna, always desiring to hear about Krishna and practicing detachment from the misery of the material condition. This last session was one of the most wonderful and important instructions Srila Prabhupada gave us. He taught by his life meant especially for the human being. An animal dies and a human being also dies. But a human being is supposed to understand the process of going back to the spiritual world at the time of death, remaining always fixed and undisturbed in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada expertly taught the process in passing away, therefore, was perfect lesson and one that can be faithfully followed. While there was nothing lamentable for Srila Prabhupada in his departing from the world and going back to Godhead, it was certainly lamentable for his followers and for the people of the whole world who became bereft of the presence of their greatest well-wisher and benefactor. Srila Prabhupada had written in a Srimad Bhagavatam purport, when the mortal body of the spiritual master expires, the disciples should cry exactly like the queen cries when the king leaves his body. As the departure of his own spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada had written on that day, "O my master, I made a cry of grief. I was not able to tolerate the absence of you, my Guru." And so on November 14, 1977, as the powerful news spread around the world, those you knew, who knew and loved Srila Prabhupada were gripped by a fearful and restricted grief. They saw everything around them in the overwhelming atmosphere of separation from Srila Prabhupada. They turned for solace to Srila Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Valli Mataji, could you able to read? Uh,
Spiritual master.
please keep your mic close.
However, the spiritual master are never, because the spiritual master always keeps company with his disciple as long as the disciple follows the instruction of the spiritual master. This is called as the of Vani. Vani. Is Prabhuji correct, Prabhuji? Vani.
Correct, Vani.
Physical presence is called Vapu. As long as the master is physically present, the disciple who should serve the body of the spiritual master, and the spiritual master no longer physically existing, the disciple should serve the instruction of the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada's were already carrying instructions, but now they would have to do so without the Vapu, without the opportunity of regularly seeing and being with him. At first, this was very difficult for them to face, but those who were sincere soon realized, and Srila Prabhupada had his departure them the greatest gift of all, service in separation. Service in separation is the highest realization and ecstasy. This was the teaching of Lord regard to Lord Krishna and his foremost devotees, the gopis of Vrindavana. When Krishna left his beloved gopis and went to Mathura, never to return to them in Vrindavana, gopis and all other citizens of Vrindavana wept piteously in separation. They so much loved Krishna that they could not live without him. And to maintain their lives, they began to constantly remember and discuss his name, fame, form, and encourage. By constantly remembering him in love, anticipating his return to Vrindavan, achieved an ecstasy of union in separation, which Gaudiya Vaishnavas declared to be superior even to the ecstasy the gopis felt in Krishna's presence. Because Krishna is absolute, even remembering him, chanting his puts the devotee into direct contact with him. But because there is simultaneously a feeling of separation from him, there is an inconceivable simultaneous union and separation. This is the epitome of Krishna conscious relationship. Prabhupada,
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna, Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Pushpa Mataji, could you able to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Dandavata.
Yes,
Prabhupada's
Mataji.
followers knew this principle of service in separation, technically known as Viplamba Seva. But to most devotees, it was theoretically realization. Before one can feel intense loving separation from Krishna, one one must first feel intense attraction to him. But for the conditioned soul who had forgotten and abandoned Krishna and has come to the material world under the spell of Maya illusion, for him, separation from Krishna is based on complete ignorance and forgetfulness. In coming to spiritual life, a new fight first began to awaken to the very existence of God as he overcome the atheistic misconception. Next, he came gradually through practice to take up a relationship of service to Krishna through serving the spiritual master. Intense love of Krishna and separation is the most advanced stage and cannot possibly be realized in fully by the neophyte. The service in separation had remained a theoretical teaching to many of Srila Prabhupada's followers. But when Srila Prabhupada departed from the world, left his disciple to carry on his mission, they immediately realized union with him in separation. He was gone, but he was still very much present. This realization was not a pretension or a myth, nor it was sentimental psychic phenomena, telepathy, communication with the dead, or so on. It was a completely substantive, practical, palpable reality, a fact of life. Srila Prabhupada had given them personal service and now they would continue that service. Prabhupada was still present through his instruction and all the nectar of his direct association. All the nectar of Krishna consciousness that he had given and shared with them was still available. Service in separation for Prabhupada's disciple was undoubtedly a fact. Otherwise, they now that they were without his personal presence, how they how were they able to sustain their spiritual life? In fact, that they could continue as before, increase their feeling of devotion, and even increase their service capacity. Mean that Srila Prabhupada was very much still with them. As Srila Prabhupada's last instruction was the lesson of how a human being should die, and he now taught beyond dying how to practically implement the highest philosophical teaching of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. This realization gave the devotee great hope that Srila Prabhupada and the revolutionary life of Krishna consciousness he had brought with them were not finished upon his departure. Often, when a great personality dies, his contribution collapses, but Srila Prabhupada's presence remained and expanded, sustaining his devotee life. He was still in charge. Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai.
Haribol Mataji, we have completed this book with continuous reading and by cooperation from your side and this book completed today. So we need to give big Haribol, Haribol Mataji, Haribol Prabhuji.
Hari bol to all.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, would you want to tell anything? Haribol Yagambar
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
I think we commenced the book on disappearance day of Prabhupada in October or November.
November, huh?
Hmm.
Because this we need to understand what is called how Prabhupada made his exemplary by doing Krishna conscious act by doing his activities in Krishna conscious way. So we have to do our activities in the Krishna conscious way. Otherwise, we may not succeed. Even we succeed also, that will come under materialism, not spiritualism. Correct, Prabhuji, or correct, Mataji?
Yes,
Isn't
yes,
it?
correct. Very, very true, very true.
So what we have to achieve the activities in the spiritual way, we need to make all the activities to surrender the Krishna, and we need to surrender ourselves also and glorify him always. Whatever the things that activities, we are not responsible. The Krishna is only responsible. The Krishna is the final enjoyer. Krishna is always enjoyer for the all the things. Correct, isn't it, Prabhuji? Isn't it, Mataji?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prabhuji. One thing I want to say, Prabhuji, your voice looks like a little bit of Srila Prabhupada. That tape, na, that voice. I feel like that after hearing your voice.
Mataji, how are you doing? But don't tell like that anybody, because the thing is, Srila Prabhupada actions very different, and we are following now itself. So don't tell to anybody, because the thing was we need to follow like that. Whatever the thing you are telling, that should come to make any meaning of that. Okay? Hare Krishna Mataji and Hare Krishna Ramya Mataji. Would you want to tell anything?
வீட்டுலதான் இருப்பேன்னு சொன்னாங்களா?
Seri, okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Tomorrow,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
tomorrow shall we
Um,
start birth beyond death or something revision we can do?
so, first of all, a big Haribol to all of you, Dandat Pranams. Sorry, I'm not able to talk much because it's almost 1 o'clock in the midnight for us here. So, the next 2-3 days, what I would suggest is we all please do a quick revision or recap of this book, what we have completed. Use this time to do the recap or revision. We will start our next book on Friday night.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So please go through this book, and we need discussed from the introduction, and from the chapter 1 to chapter 8 we can discuss one by one in the coming classes. 3 classes we have. So if people want to attend, then before that you tell. Otherwise, if you are not attending, please tell. And if you want to change the timing also, we can make a change of timing. But it is subjected to Dipti Mataji, because anytime some other devotees arrange classes, conducting classes in this web Zoom meeting, so we need to check, and otherwise the same time we follow, and we can revise in 3 days from the introduction and to chapter 8 we can discuss. Okay, Prabhuji and Matajis.
Okay.
Hari Bol.
Haribol.
Prabhuji.
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji
Okay,
mantra.
mantra.
Pancha.
वाचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभय एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Namaskar.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna.
Tomorrow we can discuss.
Yes, we will discuss.
No problem. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, today we end the meeting.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.